I think we are live, dude.
Hello again.
And it has been a long time since we've been
It has
live.
been a long time. Now, last time we actually spoke was the Antietam anniversary around that time.
Right, so just at
As
the end of
far
the
as
summer.
coffee and conversations, that definitely hasn't happened since you worked at a gas station, and it was the summer.
It was, and they were earlier in the day too. So we had these things bright
Yes,
and early, and I know not a lot of people caught them live. So it's kind of cool on a Saturday afternoon that we could do this at 4:15 my time, and it's eight
yeah. So
thirty,
it's
eight
it's
fifteen your
it's eight
time.
fifteen my time. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad either. That's a decent time.
So we're actually 4 hours behind you at the moment because obviously we had our clock change last weekend. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, it is an extremely good day to know that I get Darren back on the Unfiltered Historian. Not that you've been off by any means, because you've been virtually helping us just run the whole thing with these awesome on this day in history posts and everything that you've been able to put out, just for people to read on our page. It's been incredible. So, I always like to thank you for that every time I get the opportunity to. And you really are really supportive of this organization. So I
Not a
can't thank
problem.
you
Not a
enough for that.
problem. I,
But
I,
yeah,
I
so
love
we
the
got a lot
I
to
love
talk
the
about.
I just love the fact that you invited me along, and I'm enjoying the journey. And also it's helping me grow as well. So
Absolutely.
it's got benefits for both.
I agree. And by the way, I'm digging your shirt. Is that American
Yeah, this
UK
is
history?
this was my first incarnation of it.
Okay.
Um, then I realised that it didn't really stick out, so that's why now it has a white background on it. But that one was used on Monday night, so it's now in the wash.
Okay. But yeah, that one's actually really cool. I think I'm gonna have to get me one of those. I hear you're making some shirts, so I'm excited
Yes, so
for.
yeah, I shall bring some over.
Oh, you're bringing some
I'm
over. I should
currently
mention
working
that
on a
you are
combined
coming
one.
over.
Hopefully, we'll have a combined one at some point with both
Absolutely.
brands on the same T-shirt. That would be pretty cool, or maybe even a hoodie.
Those hoodies are pretty cool. I'm sure you've seen the ones we're trying to get marketed now. They're a little expensive, so I'm trying to figure out the best like supplier in order to do these because they're almost they're active wear, so it makes it to where you can wear these hoodies in the winter and still be very very warm. Because like unlike this, I have to wear a vest over my hoodies now just to keep warm, especially if it's starting to get cold. But I want one of those activewear hoodies, but they're marketing them at like $86. I'm like,
So, what have you
pricey.
been up to, Tyler, in that
Lots
time?
of
Anyway,
things, actually. So I picked up a newfound love for the Western theater in the American Civil War. Starting with Tim Smith's Shiloh, still working through that, and beginning Vicksburg as well. I've got the three Ed Bars volumes on Vicksburg. For those that don't know, I was a Edwin Cole Bars intern recipient, so very, very familiar with Mr. Bars himself. I actually got to, meet him a lot, talk to him a lot, and consider him quite a mentor to me. So they're very special books in that regard, and I got to have the book plate signed and everything before he passed. So I got one of those signs in my first volume there, and that to me is incredible to have. And I think that's what
wow,
kind
yeah.
of sparked me wanting to get into the Western theater is having Bars be one of the authorities on it, and not really knowing much about it. It's the whole new world for me theoretically.
Well,
So it's
well, well
cool to
I'm,
get
I'm
into.
glad. I'm glad you're actually delving into that because the Western theatre, from my point of view, and probably many other historians that like this period, is, of course, as you know, all the focus is on the East all the time of how the army's been completely defeated all the time. But when you actually look at the West, there's so much success there as far as the Union Army is concerned. So, but it got overshadowed and overlooked for quite some time. But eventually, it's coming back, and being focused on again, which is I find great, because I love both sides of the theatres, but the Western theatre is a good thing to study.
It is very much so, and I guess there's with the Western theater, it's still a whole new era for me to get into. Not era, but area, I guess you could say. And there's some pretty significant stuff happening at Vicksburg, and I think that's going to be cool to be able to highlight and see that and learn more about it. Shiloh again was something I knew virtually nothing about going into it, and now that I've had the opportunity to study it a little bit, I know a wealth of stuff from just what I read from Tim Smith and a few other books along the way. But yeah, that's about where I'm at. We have some really cool stuff coming for you guys in December. Lots of cool stuff, actually. So the anniversary of the Battle of Fredericksburg is coming up, and we have a special guest arriving from across the pond to the United States, specifically to Fredericksburg, to tackle this event with us. I don't know who I'm talking about, but
Where is he?
I have no idea. We're having Darren actually join us in Fredericksburg for the anniversary, and us, meaning tattooed historian as well, will be with us. We have some members of the Park Service when we get to the sunken road and stone wall factor of the battle. We're going to be meeting with them and talking and just trying to put together something to commemorate Fredericksburg in a large scale way. We have seen a lot of the anniversary events that go on from many other of these great podcasts and live videos that go on, but we want to try to do something different, something that hasn't been done. So we're going to bring you to those spots as they're happening. We're going to be walking in some places you may have never been able to walk in or see before or even virtually know about. For example, we have on Tuesday, we are going to be doing what we call the Dahlgren raid on the Unfiltered Historian, which is, again, something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Now, it's a predecessor to the battle. It takes place in November of 1862. So we're coming up on the 159th anniversary of that. And I do think that's going to make for some pretty cool conversation and hopefully get some more attention to it, because there's a lot of news articles and journals and a lot of primary source material that we're going to be uncovering. Well, some of it's been published before for that event. And that, again, is on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're around and you want to learn some Fredericksburg stuff that doesn't get talked about, we're your people. We have your stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
and
so
you never know. We might have some other guests pop in on that day when we do our stuff around Fredericksburg. It's going to be a mixture of obviously lives, but also we'll pre-record some stuff for YouTube channel for the future and stuff like that, But I'm so excited. I mean, I've been trying to get to the United States for twice now, and both times it's been cancelled. So firstly, I was trying to get to the Emergency War Symposium, couldn't get there, and then the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust conference, and I couldn't get to that either. So I thought, why not Fredericksburg anniversary? What better to be standing on the ground that they stood on that exact day?
I know.
Goosebumps.
It's going to be cool. I got to do that last year. A friend of mine and I stepped out and actually visited these spots as they were happening in real time. So that was awesome.
Now going back to the Battle of Fredericksburg, an important event took place yesterday in 1862, where George McClellan was finally relieved, thank goodness, of command of the army.
You're not a McClellan fan, are you?
I don't know. I think as far as organising is concerned, we know he's a good guy, but he doesn't want to utilise what he's got, and he's just constantly causing Lincoln problems. If Lincoln says this, he does that. It's constantly like that, isn't it? And it's frustrating for Lincoln. It's frustrating for everybody involved.
Sure.
I can see why the army loved him. I can see why the men loved him, because
right.
He was a great organizer. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because earlier there was there's a bit of controversy when it comes to Burnside sometimes. And I've seen a lot of things over the last few days of people criticizing Burnside. And yes, he does deserve a lot of criticism. But one criticism I don't think he deserves is the situation he finds himself in at Fredericksburg. And we've had this conversation so many times about Henry Halleck throwing Burnside under the bus, putting that piece of paper or whatever it was behind him on the desk. Putting it on there again, The Army of the Potomac are in this area in mid-November. If they've got those pontoons that week, they're across that river and they're on their way to Richmond. Because there's no one in Fredericksburg, apart from, a few hundred?
Well, yeah, what we learned on Tuesday, we're going to have some cavalry in Fredericksburg for sure. Roughly 200 Confederates in the town of Fredericksburg. And it's, Burnside's moving to Fredericksburg does prompt a significant buildup of Confederate forces in the town. But even just, I guess today too, when we're talking about Fredericksburg, it might serve to give some some backstory on Fredericksburg itself. The city was founded in 1728, being one of America's oldest cities. It was actually at one point navigable by these shipping ships. Yeah, that makes sense. These ships are able to come up to Fredericksburg, so it's a port city at some point, especially early on in its history in the 1720s there. And if you go today, you can hardly tell that it's a navigable river because of the sediment that has flown into the river, the amount of rocks that are even kind of visible today, the shallow waters, yada, yada, yada. It's been changed by man-made dams being put up. Recently, one, as I think it was 2003, when we demolished the Embry Dam that was closer to what we call Fall Hill, or most people know it as the Fall Line. But that was obviously a significant hampering to the original form of the Rappahannock River. Wartime River was close to 420, 425 feet wide at some of the crossings. It's not that today. It's much smaller today, but it's still even I think in terms of today, it would still be a military obstacle if we lost those bridges because of the way the Rappahannock is. Its nature is think of the word Rappahannock. Now, it's not coming from the fact that there are rapids. I'd just like to point out that very much fits in that narrative there. But it's a very rapid river. The tide on that is fluctuating. If it rains a lot, it can flood the town of Fredericksburg, or at least up to city docks, and that causes quite a bit of situational problems for the Union Army that's going to arrive there in 1862. Wartime Fredericksburg, obviously sitting halfway between Richmond and DC, means that it's inevitable that war will show its ugly face at the doorstep of Fredericksburg and its citizens. We see the Union Army actually occupy the town of Fredericksburg early on in the war in 1862, using it as a supply depot for some of the campaigns around Richmond when McClellan's down there doing his thing. And the citizens aren't too happy with the Union Army, obviously being a secession town. Women won't even walk underneath the American flag that's flying out of some of the windows or flying up high. They'll make sure they go out of their way to walk around it. Now, we don't see any situations as severe as Butler down in New Orleans, of course, but it still goes to highlight that the town is very pro-secession. We have a lot of prominent citizens that leave diaries sort of to describe what Fredericksburg was like. And, at some point in this coffee conversations, if you like, I can definitely go pull Jane Howison Peele's diary and we can read some excerpts of what Fredericksburg was like under Union occupation, because I think it's cool to hear them talk about it more so than me rambling on about it. I can just tell you what I've learned from them. But it's still, Fredericksburg has that, and again, Union soldiers are the ones that can say this, that it has that colonial feel still. It's George Washington's boyhood home. His mother's buried in Fredericksburg. Hugh Mercer is from Fredericksburg, if you're familiar with the Revolutionary stuff, So there's a lot of prominent people. John Paul Jones, Matthew Fontaine Maury was actually born on the Chancellorsville battlefield. I'm going to make that up as Fredericksburg because I consider that part of Fredericksburg.
And most famously, your very first president spent some time in Fredericksburg. Is that correct?
He did. George Washington's boyhood home.
There you go. I don't like to talk about Washington. I'm still a little bit bitter, as you know. Whenever coffee's brought up, we have to bring up the tea argument again.
If anyone saw me and Darren arguing on Facebook the other day about it, that was fun.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun. Yeah.
Tea. I did it before Darren.
I do love coffee, actually. I do love coffee, but
Kojak,
if you don't like tea, don't drink it. It's simple as that. But I can never understand why you guys drink cold tea. Lipton iced tea. What the hell is that all about? What have you done?
Want to try some? I will show you.
It's horrible.
It's not horrible. We drink sweet iced tea. It is good.
Fair enough. We'll let you off.
Kojak over on Twitch says 2 historians is better than 1.
Certainly
just finished a 3-mile walk. Be safe. Thank you so much, Kojak. I hope you are having a safe day as well.
Hopefully that was on a battlefield that you did your 3-mile walk.
Yeah, 3 miles is
that's no mean feat.
No, I love to hike those battlefields. That's about what we do on the battlefields.
I know what I wanted to bring up. I'm pretty sure at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, but John Reynolds was taken as a hostage or something in Fredericksburg as well, or something.
So he was captured, and he wasn't captured in Fredericksburg. I don't believe it was Fredericksburg, but because of the way he was treating civilians when he was in Fredericksburg, I do believe it was the citizens of Fredericksburg who petitioned for his release.
That's right.
So
So
Southern
much
town,
history.
yeah.
So we're not only going to be touching on American Civil War history, we're going to be touching on a little bit of other stuff as well. But also, my trip's going to be for a week. So there's going to be stuff coming from other places, mainly Central Virginia, obviously, Chancellorsville, the Wilderness. But I'm going to vlog the trip as well. So that content will be available on my YouTube channel at some point. I'm going to vlog the
Mhm.
trip. So there'll be some behind the scenes type stuff. It's going to be exciting.
And if you guys haven't already, our affiliate and our co-sponsor, whatever you want to call it, our partner is the American Civil War and UK History. If you guys are not following that yet, make sure you go give them some love and you follow as well, because
Please, yes.
our good friend
Because
Darren over here is the brains behind all of this. So definitely go support.
we work together.
We do, and that's, I think, like
And
Kojak
that's
said
the
right
thing.
there,
Yeah, it's
two
great. It's such a great
historians is
thing.
better than one, and we have multiple on our page, so we make sure that we can continue to cover many bases and many aspects of history. And it's the way Unfiltered has been going now, which I think is really cool. The way that we tackle this history, there's almost like certain aspects of history that each of us are or have our niche in, if you will. So I'm big into the human aspect of history. I'm really big into the civilian life, the what a soldier is thinking, going through day to day basis, stuff of that nature, what they're seeing. And we have Darren, who I think is very similar in that regard, and folks like Tim, who are astronomically smart when it comes to the military tactics, the maneuvers, and what's going on in that regard. And we have Daryl, who is what I consider an expert on artifacts. He finds awesome, really, really cool stuff to show us and talk about. So that's what he brings to the table there. And we're pretty excited to have him join too. So if you guys haven't seen that announcement either, please do always take some time and welcome Daryl Noonan to the page. He is, again, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to artifacts, and we need that too, because we want to start being able to exhibit artifacts and talk about some of the things that we've have left over 150 years later. One of those, I recently came across a book in my local bookstore that belonged to Roy Mason Jr. Now, you may not know who that is off the top of me saying that, but he was the owner of a wartime house known as the Sentry Box. And the book that I picked up survived the Battle of Fredericksburg. Yes, it's amazing. Has his book plate still in the book. And it was sold to me for the sum of about $150, which is okay. I had to justify buying that, because to have a book from Fredericksburg, from the Battle of Fredericksburg, that was
You didn't
inside.
justify anything. Come on, you're not fooling me. Jesus Christ, you've
No,
got
it
something from
was
the Battle of Fredericksburg. You're not going to go and talk in the corner to yourself. Shall I buy it? You're gonna snap the
it was
guy's hand off.
instantaneous.
You're just
Yeah,
going to
I
go
was.
bam. You're not
He
even going
told
to
me
ask the
$150. I said, dude, sold.
guy.
Because the 4 volume set he was letting go for 750. I couldn't do that one as
No,
much as
you
I
couldn't
wanted
do
to.
that.
Nah, but it's also interesting because the book I got is about colonial history up into 1850. So
Nice.
to me, that's like, whoa. Two
Yeah.
really cool things in one. The obvious one being that this house somehow, somewhat survived Fredericksburg. It was ravished, obviously. And when I go retrieve the Jane Howison Beale diary in a minute, I'll grab my Fredericksburg Civil War Sites Volume 1 and read you some excerpts on what the Sentry Box looked like after the battle. In fact, because we're in this new restream thing here, which I love so much, by the way, I bet you I can pull up a picture of the Sentry Box today and what it would have looked like during the Civil War. So give me one moment and I will do that. Sentry Box Civil War. Haha. That was actually easier than I anticipated. Save image as. Boom. And one more second. I have a picture of it today. Save image as. Okay. And come back here. Like how I'm narrating me putting up a picture. That's great. Upload. Sorry for the wait, guys. I just want to get these up here. So this is the Sentry Box today. Beautiful home. And this was it post-battle. destroyed.
Yeah.
And I like to say it almost looks like there's a garage in there, you know. And before we had garages in houses, like the side of that house almost looks like it would have a car garage in it. It's just because it's damaged so much, it almost gives off that impression. So, Darren, if you want to start off and talk about anything on your end real quick while I go grab those books, please do so. I will be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, yeah. So again, like I said, when I visit, I'm planning on vlogging the tour, but I'm going to be in Fredricksburg about a week. There is also a plan to travel up to Gettysburg for one day, because it is, hallowed ground, isn't it? You've got to go and visit that special place while you're there. Take the opportunity. I've never been to Antietam, so definitely going to be looking at that. Definitely going to be visiting Antietam. And also, I've had an invitation to go and visit Kennedy Farm. When I first started this page, I came acquainted with the guys that run Kennedy Farm, and I even had a really good phone conversation with the guy. You know, so his father owned the farm and he passed it down to him. So we're going to get special permission to go there and visit Kennedy Farm, where John Brown stayed before the raid. So that'll be interesting as well. So yeah, lots and lots planned. I think you might be muted there, sir.
I am. Thank you. You
There
have
you
a
go.
request on our comments. I don't know if you read that or not.
Oh. Okay. Yes. All right. Let me. I don't know whether any of you guys saw my Battle of Hastings videos, but Mark
I did.
Wycroft. Sorry, Wheatcroft. I keep calling him bloody
Mac
Wycroft.
Wyckoff?
He's going to bloody kill me if I keep calling him Wycroft. It's Wheatcroft. Sorry.
Wheatcroft. I thought you said Mac Wyckoff.
Yeah.
I was like, he's over here in the United States.
That is something he would probably know about. So we'll work on that for you. Definitely, Kojak. I'm trying to think what period that is. That's medieval, I think.
I found Century Box. Here we go.
100 Years' War. I'm sure of it.
So I guess I should have grabbed the book. I can show you guys the book too. I will get that in a minute. He said it was 22 May, 1455.
That is definitely. I think that's the 100 Years' War. So Mark is absolute expert in that field. He loves that area of. So we'll get him on here and he'll talk about it with us on here. He'll love to do that.
Todd Rhodes over on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining.
He's coming. Todd, you've been in the Netherlands seeing your granddaughter, I believe.
Netherlands. Whoo, that's a respectable.
Yeah, he's been there about 3 or 4 weeks, I believe.
Okay, well, Todd, it's
visiting
good to
his
have you.
grandchild for the first time. Oh, obviously, because of COVID, they couldn't travel. So that's amazing. I'm really pleased for you, Todd.
I swear, when Todd and Barry came to visit, best tour I've ever given to Chancellorsville. It was the most fun and most engaging. We had a great tour out there. Heading back home Monday. Well, please have some safe travels.
Have you enjoyed your stay in the Netherlands? Did you go to any cafes while you was in? Even though you can do that.
All right, don't make me spit my coffee out on my books there, Darren.
bit of cake.
Oh man, where's that in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense. Now I guess in Virginia,
Netherlands, were you staying in, Todd? Amazing.
He said my granddaughter's first birthday last week. Oh, congratulations!
Happy birthday, yeah.
And he said yes, great stay. Good. I'm glad that you had a good time.
Rotterdam, even nicer. Yeah,
Rotterdam's nice. I've never been out of the United States. I'm hoping
we'll do one day. I'm going to take you on a crazy tour of Europe.
Oh, I can't wait. That would be incredible.
It'll be messy. I don't know about incredible. Yeah.
Incredible. It can be messy. That's fine. I don't care.
We'll go and do some World War I battlefield tours.
So we have, thanks to Noel Harrison against Civil War Sites, the Fredericksburg Civil War Sites Volume 2. This is one of the best. Oh God, these books are amazing.
Big shout out to Noel Harrison. Amazing
Absolutely,
guy.
he watches all the time. So if you're
So
watching,
if you're
listening,
watching,
Noel,
Noel, really appreciate your support. And when I make it over, I would love to go out for a drink and meet up, or coffee or whatever, and we'll have a chat about the English Civil War.
When it was constructed in 1786, so it's a rather old place here. We're looking at a quote right now that actually comes from Mason, Willie Mason Jr., who is going to be the one discovering how his house looks like. So, before I get started with that, Todd made a really good
Yes,
request.
yes,
You
Todd, I
up
would
for it?
definitely be up for that.
We got to schedule that all to where we could all go
Yeah,
together,
we've got
Todd.
to all
I
do
want to
that.
join you guys for that. I've never been.
Because the thing is with Normandy as well, not only have you got the World War II stuff, you've actually got the stuff that links the Norman invasion together as well, and William the Conqueror. You know, there's a lot of ancient buildings there from that period. And Mark Wheatcroft, sorry, I keep calling him Bycroft. I don't know why. He's definitely going to be doing that. He's going to be filming stuff, you know. So yeah, definitely.
Sweet. So after the battle, Mason does return to his home, and he finds one Federal soldier stretched on one of my beds. In my parlor, lying on the floor, was another whose entire form left its imprint in blood. In my own chamber, sitting up in an old-fashioned easy chair, I had found a Federal lieutenant colonel. When I entered, I supposed him to be alive, as the back of his head was toward me. Much startled, I approached him to find that he had been shot through the neck, and probably placed in that upright position that he might better breathe. He was quite dead. I had all these bodies and 5 or 6 others found in my yard, buried in one grave on the wharf. And to think that the book I have just recently acquired was in there when he sees this, it makes you wonder, were those soldiers shot in the home? Were they dragged into the home after they were shot? Sentry Box does sit close to where the Union artillery had ravished Fredericksburg. So there's many things that we could really look at and kind of point as
I
why.
can't tell you how excited I am, honestly.
Yeah. So while I guess I'm gonna go grab that book because I think that needs it's show and tell with that.
Definitely, we're definitely going to be doing some stuff about Second Fred as well. By the way,
yes, Second Fredericksburg needs to be covered as well
because Chris Mikowski and Chris White wrote an amazing book, and it's not a big book, but it's amazing. It's one of my favourite books in the Forgotten Battle or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called now.
Chancellor's Forgotten Front.
That's the one. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Civil War books. Yes,
it's just so good. If you haven't, go and buy it.
Seriously. All right, one moment. Let me go grab our historical artifact of the day.
So there's loads of great English pubs around Kojak. You will always find an Englishman in the pub somewhere along the line. Actually, while we're on the subject, if anybody's around in Fredericksburg during December, actually on the Friday, one of the Fridays, we're having a drink in a bourbon bar in Fredericksburg. So if you do live local to the area, then come down and come and have a drink with us because we'll be in there.
He says he loves the UK and has been many times. I'm absolutely jealous. I haven't ever been to the UK. Like I said, I haven't left the United States yet, but it is bound to happen here soon.
I was just saying, just while you was getting that, I was saying that we'll be having a drink on the Friday. I can't remember what day it is now. Friday, the 17th of December, a Rebellion Bourbon Bar.
Is that me or Darren, Todd? Because I'm trying to get there ASAP. I know I plan to go with Darren one of the days that he's here for the day.
Yeah, so Gettysburg, we're not 100% sure on yet, but we'll let you know. We'll do another video before then, and also there'll be a thing. Oh my God, look at that!
I hate touching it because the book is fragile as anything.
Oh
And of
my
course, the
gosh.
page is coming off the front.
I bet it
So
smells nice. Do you
it
ever
does.
smell a book?
I do. That I'm trying to get it. Just I hate moving it, but that's Mason's book plate on the cover. Again, being super gentle with this thing. Um, it was part of his library, so there's a good chance that it was in his house. I mean, this book is 1850. We know it was in the sentry box during the Battle of Fredericksburg. That still blows my freaking mind.
Wow.
And to have this survive that, the
Yeah.
Union soldiers looted and sacked the city. So I mean, who knows too if a wounded soldier wasn't thumbing through this at one point. There could be so many things, but we do know it witnessed the scene that Mason paints for us in what he sees coming into the sentry box after the battle. So that alone, and the fact that it was a survivor of Fredericksburg,
So
makes it such an
a
artifact.
lot of this stuff they looted, I take it they would have sent home.
If it was able to be
But
carried.
of course, they wasn't allowed to loot. So how the hell did they manage to sneak it back to the lines and through the lines and then send it on? How did they manage that?
Um, that's a great question. I can look into a little more of that
Yeah, I'd love to know.
when
I'd
it
love to
comes to the
learn a bit
time.
more
Yeah,
about that
because we
because I
could
find that
present
really
that on the
interesting.
program. You know what I mean? Like we could go into that too about the looting and the sacking of the city when
Oh,
we start
definitely.
discussing Fredericksburg. And I think that would be rather interesting to talk about because that it paints a good picture of what it was like. I know there was one scene, and this account comes from Frank O'Reilly's book on Fredericksburg, which is a fantastic book, Winter War on the Rappahannock. If you haven't seen that yet, it's like the Bible of Fredericksburg. Darn it, it is wonderful. He does bring an account up where there's a soldier who loots a stuffed alligator,
Todd,
and it's
answering your
really cool
question
account.
about Gettysburg, we're trying to probably look at the 14th of December, but we'll get back to you on a definite because it just depends on Tyler's work schedule. That's all.
Yeah, I do teach at a local
Tyler
high
has
school
to
here.
work now. When we
Yeah,
first started planning this, Tyler had actually got the time off.
we should go visit Stonewall's
Oh,
arm.
we're definitely going to be visiting the arm, 100%.
Have to, and maybe we can talk to. I know an arm expert. His name is Joe LaFleur. He is a absolute arm expert out there. He knows so much about that
So
story, and the way he
my
tells it
my
is fantastic. So maybe we can get him to join us for that and talk about the arm and how it
definitely
got there.
my plan is to visit obviously the wilderness battlefield, Spotsylvania. I want to go to the Bloody Angle or the Mule Shoe. Sorry. Also, I'd like to go and visit Stonewall Jackson's death site, the house. I'd like to go to a lot of places. There's a lot we're going to try and cram in, but yeah, um, Pelham's Corner. Want to go there?
Yep, I can take you there, no problem. That's a very easy
Definitely
spot
want to
to go
go
to.
there. Salem Church, obviously up the road from you, because as you actually live off Salem Church Road.
I do. I live on the Salem Church battlefield, which is pretty darn cool. Because I'm a big Second Fredericksburg guy myself, so like to be literal stone's throw away from Salem Church right now, it's pretty darn sweet, if you ask me. I really do enjoy
The
being.
11th to the 18th.
Oh, I might be there for Remembrance Day, Todd.
Oh,
So
yes. Okay, yeah.
good to know. We got to get you down to Fredericksburg again soon, so we can do a Fredericksburg tour instead of doing the Chancellor. Like we did Chancellorsville. I want to get you around Fredericksburg because I have found some stuff in regards to what we call the swale. That's right. Yeah, that's we did meet at the Bloody Angle, and then we rendezvoused about Chancellorsville right after that, which was again just an incredible day. I had so much fun with you guys.
Awesome.
Let's see. So there's the Mercer Fairgrounds, as we call them, and it's the Bloody Plain, or where the Union Army's charging up to Marie's Heights, and there was a swale that was in the middle of all of this, and that swale is still visible in some spots that are actually, to my knowledge, are city right of ways. They're alleyways. The swale was where Chamberlain was pinned. Yep. And today, where Chamberlain would have been pinned is now a 7-Eleven. So if we're doing a tour through the swale, we can go get a Chamberlain Memorial Slurpee at the 7-Eleven. But behind the 7-Eleven on the street known as Little Page Street, there are some alleys that have not been obstructed, I guess, by pavement because the pavement dilutes the the swale by a lot. It changes the nature of how much that swale really represented the last form of protection they had on that side of the battlefield, minus the Stratton House, the Row House, and a few others. There is a few alleyways that are still grass that actually retain about the size of the swale that would have been there during the battle. And knowing this now and having a lot of the maps and just some of offhand location knowledge on where these troops would have been, I think I want to start incorporating one of those alleys into my tour instead of taking people. Still go by the Stratton House and be able to see up to the wall and talk about the Irish Brigade and what have you, but going towards that position where Chamberlain was at to get some folks into the alleyway there and let them see the significant size of the swale. And if they're brave enough, lay down in the swale too. I did that, and that was incredible. I was like, I may sound crazy for this, but as soon as I found it, I ran over to it and laid straight in the swale and looked up at the wall to just try to put myself in the position of what a Union soldier had to lay in for days at times, and not being able to move much because if you did, you were shot. And another tremendous respect for those troops that were
not only that, the cold nights, because am I right in saying that the weather warms up a tiny bit before the battle starts? So a lot of these guys take off their coats because they're too warm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they get pinned down out there, and then they're laying there in the freezing cold.
Fredericksburg was
nights are going to get bloody
warm.
cold. As soon as the sun goes down, it's freezing cold.
Yep.
These poor guys are out there freezing their butts off.
And like I said, it was unseasonably warm during the battle. It almost reached 60 degrees. So
60 degrees. What's that in? I don't work in Fahrenheit. Sorry, I work in Celsius.
You work in Celsius.
I'm going to convert.
I don't work in Celsius.
I'm going to convert it.
All right. Convert it. Let me know, you guys, in your weird metrics.
Oh, I'm so sorry for being weird.
It's okay. We're weird over here too. We drink coffee and cold tea. Remember?
So 15 degrees Celsius. So yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, that's a cold day for me, but yeah.
Todd, yeah. Absolutely. Cool story about that. I just recently had a painting given to me by the park. It's a painting of Richard Kirkland doing that act that he committed over there on the wall.
All I'm going to say, guys, is Tyler's going to have to check my suitcase before I go home.
I'm taking all the paintings down and hiding them before he comes over
and all your books.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not going to
hide those,
honestly.
But no, I do have some books for you, so you don't have to take it.
Oh, that's all right then. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Of course. See, I'm over here thinking, let me get my friend some books. And he's over here let me plot and take Tyler's books. So now that's
I'll get the picture in the suitcase, but I could post it to myself. Yeah.
It shows up on a live stream with one of my paintings in the background. I was I was wondering where that went.
What's that still doing up?
Yeah. Oops. My bad. I forgot that was there. Yeah. Like that.
But yeah, so I mean, I've seen these pictures, guys. They're amazing. Amazing.
Let's see. Now, I'm going to read some stuff. Ooh, we could visit Yorktown. Now, that is something that there would be a very...
Now, why would you have to bring up Yorktown, Kojak? I mean, there's come on, mate.
Well, Kojak...
We don't want to talk about that. You had the French helping you. The way it is... If it
the genius of Yorktown,
you wouldn't be doing anything.
Washington did some good stuff. Okay, we attribute that.
What's Henry Yorktown, by the way?
Well, here again, I have a Citizen's Journal in my hand. It's from a lady by the name of Jane Howison Beale, who was a prominent Civil War citizen at the time. The senior officer was French, indeed. You and your Yorktown talk. You're going to make Darren frustrated over here, and he's going to call us cold tea drinkers again.
We're over it now, okay? We're over it.
Are you? Do you know why we drink cold tea? Because Boston Harbor was cold, and we dumped it in it. And
we can talk about Yorktown if you want, because the same trenches were used during the Peninsula Campaign in 1860.
Absolutely. And Tim, in Unfiltered Historian too, that's his alley. He calls that his home. So... we should, if we're going to start doing Yorktown stuff, we need to have Tim on here because he can educate us very well on Yorktown. And again, I just really think that would be up his alley more so than mine. But I do want to read some Jane Howison Beale's accounts of the first Union occupation of Fredericksburg, since we got to talking about that. And I think that's cool to talk about today in our podcast, because we're going to be talking about Fredericksburg for the next couple episodes that we do. A lot of stuff is going to be brought up about Fredericksburg. So I don't know where I'm going to fit in the first Union occupation, or whether I'm going to do that next year. As the Unfiltered Historian wasn't created until July 4th. So we get to celebrate Independence Day as our birthday, which is, oh, sorry, Darren. I'm just saying that it was. We did. I look at when the page started and it said July 4th, 2021.
There you go.
Vicksburg Day, too, man. That's if anything, you can be like, well, at least it's Vicksburg Day, right? Well, on April 27th, 1862, Jane Howison Beale writes that Fredericksburg is a captured town. The enemy took possession of the Stafford Hills, which command the town, on Friday the 18th, and their guns have frowned down upon us ever since. Fortunately for us, our troopers were enabled to burn the bridges connecting our town with the Stafford shore, and thus saved us the presence of the Northern soldiers in our midst. But our relief from this annoyance will not be long, as they have brought boats to the wharf and will, of course, be enabled to cross at their pleasure. It is painfully humiliating to feel oneself a captive, but all sorrow for self is now lost in the deeper feeling of anxiety for our army, for our cause. We have lost everything, regained nothing. Our army has fallen back before the superior forces of the enemy, until but a small strip of our dear old dominion is left to us. Our sons are all in the field, and we, who are now in the hands of the enemy, cannot even hear from them. Must their precious young lives be sacrificed, their homes made desolate, our cause be lost, and all our rights be trampled under the foot of a vindictive foe? Gracious God, avert from us these terrible calamities. Rise in thy majesty and strength, and rebuke our enemies. We heard this morning from Mr. T. Lacey a sermon from the Lord God omnipotent regaineth, and right gladly our hearts welcome the truth in its grandeur and strength, when we are sinking into despondency and feeling the weakness of all human dependence. What a gal she is, huh? Secession is rife in her heart, that is for sure. We have Kojak with England has a monument to Benedict Arnold. Of course they do. He's a traitor. I'm trying to serve you guys. Just must have liked the tea better or something.
He loved tea. One sugar.
100%. Yes.
100%. I'm not going to argue with that one.
I'm going to say that. I hate Halleck. He
God.
looks like a frog, too. Just the
He's got the shiftiest eyes. You go and look at that picture that circulates around the internet, you'll see he's got the shiftiest eyes you've ever seen.
He does.
And not only that, he is so jealous of Grant. As you start exploring your Western experience of the Civil War, you'll see how jealous this guy is of Ulysses S. Grant. He is so jealous of this guy. Honestly, but there you go. But yeah, Henry Halleck throws Burnside under the bus.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Halleck is to blame for most of that. And I'm sure, we can see that even Burnside arrests Woodbury at one point, blaming him for it. But like we make the joke about losing paper on your desk. That's essentially what's happening. Is he has the orders for these pontoon bridges to get to Fredericksburg, and virtually loses the orders, and it just is so delayed, and it's just.
I tell you what, guys. Chris Mikowski and Chris White wrote a really good article about Burnside's getting thrown under the bus. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping the link over to Tyler, and he'll put it up for you so you can go to it. How about that?
Sounds wonderful. I'm looking for another good quote about what it's like under Union occupation.
If I can find it. It's here somewhere.
Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm just looking. And Kojak, you want to know something really sad? I've lived here this long, 26 years almost. Or no, I would say 21 years. And I have yet to go to the Stafford Civil War Park. That might be something to visit when you come down here, Darren.
Definitely.
We can do that together. It'll be a first for me. I'll avoid going there until you get here, and then we can do a video from there even.
Oh yes, I believe they've got a winter camp
Hmm.
sort of thing
They
set
do.
up there.
It was the site of the 11th Corps camp, I believe.
Cool. There we go. That's the one. Right. So I'm going to send you a link. This is an article written by Chris Mikowski and Chris White about that whole thing about the lead up to Fredericksburg and how Burnside is blamed for everything when technically it's not actually his fault. Yes, he's to blame for sending the guys to their death across the plains, but the circumstances don't allow him any room for manoeuvre.
No, they don't.
That's the issue. If they had those pontoons in mid-November, they'd have been across the river.
They would, and Burnside wouldn't let them cross without the pontoons either.
He would not. They asked him so many times. ECW blog is a very good. Yes, I do like ECW stuff.
You like the Oh no, 100%. ECW has. I'm wearing my emergency hat now
always
too. Actually, they're great, and their symposium is a hell of an event. If you haven't ever been to their symposium.
So Tyler, if you could bung that link up for the guys because that I've sent you on Messenger because that is a really good read. It's quite an old article now, but it's so good.
There it is, folks. That will be hopefully in the comments on somewhere. Absolutely, I would love to. If we can get it a day where we get you down here and we can get Chris involved, maybe Chris could walk the battlefield with us because that would be really, really cool.
That would be very, very cool.
Yeah, no, I would greatly, greatly appreciate you coming down here. Noel Harrison, thank you for the like on the video there on Facebook. I hope you're watching and having a great day. It's always good to hear from you and see you.
So Todd,
Let's work something out.
What
that would
part
be cool.
of America are you from, Todd? Are you from the Pennsylvania area or?
Which battle? We are which we're talking about Fredericksburg currently. Just the preliminaries of Fredericksburg. Nothing too crazy
South
just
Carolina.
yet.
Okay. So you've got
we're
nice
just chit chatting. And Daryl, if you ever want to do one of these, let me know because we can just. All I need to do is send you a link. Like even if you want to pop in for the remaining of this, I send you a link and you're in to the studio. And you can
come in, Daryl, because I've never met you.
There you go. So yeah, if you want to, let us know. We can shoot you
our newest
email.
member of the Unfiltered Historians.
He is. So yeah, Noonan DA 1775 that you guys are seeing in the comments there. He is Daryl Noonan. He is our weapons and expert, our artillery.
We've seen his cannons going off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got to shoot cohorn mortars with him, and
that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was some cool stuff.
Get riled up about that.
Wow.
But yeah, that was incredible. I'm telling you, like that. Nothing will ever beat.
Well, dinner can wait. Have dinner later.
Yes, I will, but I'm heading out to dinner. Oh man, lucky duck! I'm making some spaghetti inside today because it's just one of those spaghetti Saturdays, if you will. So I'm gonna make some homemade sauce here after the stream later on, and just kind of relax and read some more Shiloh because I am very much enjoying Tim Smith's work. Very much. It's been surprisingly very. I thought it was going to be like hard to get through because of all the military actions that are taking place, but it's surprisingly very quick read too because I'm so into it. I think that might be why. I'm still looking for something to share that I think would stand out. Here we go. August 31st of 1862. This is what Jane Howison Beale writes about the Union presence. The last day of the month has come, and we are not yet relieved from the presence of our enemies as we have hoped to be. They have certainly been making preparations to evacuate the town for several days, And we have seen such brilliant fires at night on the hills of Stafford that we think they must be burning army property, which they do not wish to fall into the hands of the Southern Army. On Friday afternoon, the 29th, there was an alarm given that a troop of Southern cavalry was approaching the town from the Plank Road. Consternation spread through the town as the Yankees, immediately drawn up in battle array at the head of the streets leading out west, and we thought if our troops carn up there would be a hard fought battle in our streets. Preparations were made to burn or blow up the bridges, and the cannon were put into position to command the town. The Yankee soldiers were cursing and swearing that if they had to retreat, they would shell the town, and all this alarmed so much that there was a perfect stampede across the bridges, and hundreds of poor frightened creatures with their children in their arms rushed away from their homes to spend the night on the cold ground and to starve all next day. Mine were not proof against the terrible excitement, and two of them left. This caused me much distress, as they have been good servants, and besides being useful, were endeared to me by ties of affection. I have one left, one who was raised by my dear mother, and has been like one of my family so long that I could scarcely bear to part with her. I hope she will not go, but she seems to be wild with excitement that I cannot depend on her. Helen G., Lucy, and myself do the work as yet with the aid of the boys, and thus divided we have not found it very arduous. They still have black powder in the bases. Wow. Daryl Noonan, thank you for sharing. Noel Harrison says, great as always to hear folks enthused about learning history, listening to you as I do evening chores. Thank you, Noel. It's good to have some background noise as always. I actually fall asleep to the news a lot. Not that I'm even really paying attention to the news, but I like to have that background noise. I need to probably start listening to more Civil War podcasts as I fall asleep at the end of the day so that I can have something good going through my ears instead of the blah, 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 news. Ugh.
Yeah.
He said, we will need to do a relic one. Just dug some 54 caliber minis that were dumped during the evacuation of Fredricksburg by McDowell and Burnside during the Second Manassas campaign. They still have black powder in the bases. That is bad ass. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to have to correspond so we can get an episode. And I'm trying to do some of these much more frequently than we have been doing them. It's been last night was one of the most outstanding streams I've ever done on Unfiltered Historian with the Friday Night Rights return, and we had a lot of subscriptions. We had some new followers. We've made some new friends. It was great. So I want to keep up the engagement and try to keep this just drilling stuff out for the end of the year and closing this year with a very high note. It's going to be exciting to see what we have. I bet it was awesome. And one of the things that you get to say when you're doing this is that you are one of the only people to touch that equipment or that artifact. The person before you touching that was somebody in the Civil War. And then you're the next person on earth to hold that. Incredible. We have Kojak saying the Seminole Indian Wars podcasts are outstanding. Okay, that's something to look into because, again, I know virtually nothing about that. And that's right around your region, if I'm not mistaken, Kojak. But yeah, I'll have to look into that because Seminole Wars, huh? Well, Darren, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up my latest podcast.
Please do.
Which was about the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. It was something new that I'd actually learned from it, and it was obviously before we came on, Tyler asked the question why we still have fire, why we shoot up fireworks on the 5th of November. So it was explained to me that God looked upon the English. They looked at it as upon like God was looking down on the English as favouring the English, So they had a sermon in church, and then eventually this sermon then becomes what it is today, which is no longer a sermon, but celebrating the day by shooting fireworks and setting bonfires, So yeah, I just wanted to explain what this guy said to me, and that's what I love doing this, and why I love doing this is because we're constantly learning new things,
Absolutely. Noel brought something really cool to the table here with his comment. To the Alum Spring, today a city park, which I am very familiar with. That would even be Noel. That's another video idea. Good idea. Was the site of two attacks on May 4th, 63 during Second Fredericksburg. And in 1781, it's the site of a hospital for British POWs being marched north from Yorktown, probably disease patients. That is absolutely fascinating. I had no clue that it was a hospital for British POWs.
Wow.
Hey, Daryl, thank you so much for joining with us, buddy. I really appreciate you coming
Have a
in
nice
and hanging
dinner.
out. Yeah, have a great dinner, bud.
And
And Coach
hopefully
Jax,
you'll come out for a drink with us in Fredericksburg.
that would be nice. Jackson, Meade, and Winfield Scott all served in Florida during the wars.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So we have some Civil War connections there too. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think just being able to work in the city of Fredericksburg. So the high school that I teach at is actually in Fredericksburg, the city of Fredericksburg. And on my drive home every day takes me past the Sunken Road and the Stone Wall and various other sites around Fredericksburg. And I think I never lose the appreciation I have for that town because of that. Like it is just every single time I have the opportunity to move through the town. I mean, seriously, it floors me to know that we've had this tremendous battle and this the scarring of the land here, and to know that it it survived. The city of Fredericksburg still somehow survived through all of that. Blows my mind. It was an astronomical battle. The numbers are large. The damage to the city of Fredericksburg was intense. I mean, I have some pictures too to show you since we were
I
talking. Me
mean,
and Darren were talking about that
you,
earlier.
you think about the people that actually lived in Fredericksburg during that whole period. Um, if you think about it, they're going to be well. They probably won't be able to move back for a little while because they're
No,
going to be starving, hungry. The army's completely ravaged the countryside. So that whole area of Virginia must have been just ravaged by these two armies, And you think
absolutely.
the Army of the Potomac's 120,000 at one point. That's huge, isn't it? And we're not talking just men, we're talking horses as well, and mules and things like that. So can you just imagine the strain that it had on the area, the food and resources?
No, I mean, again, it must have been tremendous. Kojak shares that Jonathan Letterman treated Jackson during the Seminole Indian Wars. How interesting. What you're looking at too is a rendition of Fredericksburg before the war, because we have some bridges in place here. I believe it's an 1860 painting. Of course, you can see the famous features of Fredericksburg in there. You can see some of the steeples of Fredericksburg, and you can see the heights that surround the town that become infamous during the first battle, and a real picture that is done during the war. Right there. On midway through the picture, you see a round cupola. It's very hard to really see, but if you look closely, you might be able to see it's got more of a darker hue towards the tip. That is going to be the Fredericksburg Courthouse. Just to the right of that, with the hard to see white steeple, is St. George's Episcopal Church. And to the right of that, there's one more steeple. It looks like it's got more of a darker hue going towards the tip of that one. That is going to be the Fredericksburg Baptist Church. Now, I also think I have a picture of the church once it was damaged by shell fire. It does look very ruined. Surprisingly, the church still stands today. It's part of our historic skyline, if you will. And I will take this picture down here and get that one up for you guys now. We have another comment. How do you feed 25,000 horses and mules during Gettysburg?
Yeah, it was difficult.
How? Do you know the answer to that? I actually don't.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why obviously he moves his army up into Pennsylvania, isn't it?
Because he needs the sustenance,
To,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Kojak.
there's a couple of occasions, isn't there, where Lee sends Longstreet on one occasion just for the wilderness, Longstreet is sent away into the Shenandoah Valley to sort of try and get supplies for the army because they're just so short of food and all sorts of stuff. Wow, that's an amazing picture.
Isn't it? So that is the Fredericksburg Baptist Church, and you can again kind of see just even surrounding it, the city of Fredericksburg desolated.
I think what we're going to try and do, guys, as well, is we're going to get some of these pictures blown up and take them out to the actual site and try and stand in a similar position to where the church. So that church is still there, is it? I understand.
Yes, it is.
So, and then we'll try and get a sense of how it's changed, you know.
And I'm going to reach out to the I'm going to reach out to St. George's Episcopal Church so that we can. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but this would be amazing.
Well, I
want
don't
to
see why not.
I'm going to ask if they can get us up into the Belfry Tower.
Oh, wow. Imagine
and
that.
we can do a video looking out over Fredericksburg from the top of St. George's. And it's a high steeple. So, and if they say no, I'll contact the city courthouse and I'll talk to the Baptist church to see if one of us can at least get up there to give the view and maybe recreate. There's a famous picture that the 360 of the town from up there. And I'd love to get a video of it. And I could just a couple panorama shots of the town of Fredericksburg today. Or see if I have any friends that know drones that know how
that would be really cool.
You can get us up there somehow. But I think it would serve really well to do something like that too, to help just kind of orient to Fredericksburg a little bit. Yeah. Darren, is there anything else you can think of before we depart here?
Not really.
No.
Just you know that again we're going to be in Fredericksburg for a drink on the 17th of December, and if you live local and you want to come down and have a beer with us, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer your question, Todd, you asked, do they ever open up the Brompton house for tours? They do, rarely. So unfortunately, the National Park Service did not acquire that specific homestead. It was owned by John H. Murray during the war, hence the term Murray's Heights. The University of Mary Washington's president of that college there has ownership of that and would stay in that during his presidency. So it's a private home, unfortunately, and it's not often that they open it up for private tours, but on occasion they will. And there's a really cool picture. Again, let me resource a picture for you of some of the wounded that are sitting under this oak tree there. And we call it today the Brompton Oak because the Brompton Oak is still standing. And it's a very famous picture of...
Oh, is this the one where the soldiers are slumped against the tree?
The very same.
Yes, I know the one, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that when I visited in 2006.
Yeah, I do believe one of them is missing
an arm. So the Brompton house is the house that sits up behind the stone wall. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It is that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Dinner for 200,000 for the Battle of Fredericksburg. A lot of hardtack.
So a lot of broken teeth.
Maybe that gave them their calcium, eating their own teeth after hardtack. Ugh, God. Can you imagine breaking all your teeth to hardtack?
The other thing people don't realise as well, and I've spoke about this to Sarah KB early, is the fact that there was a shortage of wood. And that's so stupid as well.
There was.
They just stripped everything. And any fence panel, you think, they just stripped the whole place because they need to keep warm, you know? Mm-hmm. Crazy. So I think there wasn't a fence panel anywhere.
No. None. And that, again, it kind of just highlights that there are these very horrible battles that are happening. You're getting now,
and then
on top of that.
Then, on top of that, once you have the battles, you've got these farmhouses and houses full of wounded men as well. That are, they don't just go home, do they? Mm-hmm. They're there for months. The same as I've heard about Gettysburg before. It's a similar situation. They're there for months after the battle, still recovering. But then also you've got the dead bodies on the battlefield as well. Someone's got to deal with that,
Teeth were needed for biting the bullet. If you didn't have your two front teeth, you weren't serving.
That's right.
As long as you had those, though, you're good. If you can bite your cartridge, solid. But if you didn't have that capability, you weren't really worth much to them.
Wow, I love that picture.
Me too. That's one of my favorites.
So
So
is
that
that
oak
during
is
the
still
first
there.
Fredericksburg?
Actually, no. I believe these
Second.
are wounded from the wilderness.
Oh, from the wilderness. Okay.
Fredericksburg served as a hospital town during the
Hmm.
war.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously on all fronts. And this itself, this picture we're looking at now, is taking at what we were talking about, Brompton.
Hmm.
And these soldiers, again, probably wounded in wilderness or Spotsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. Noel, you could probably correct me on this. If which battle? Like I said, I believe it's the Wilderness Spotsylvania, 1864 casualties here. These are some wounded you're looking at. That oak tree still stands, and again, we call it the Brompton oak. Obvious reasons, but if trees could talk,
If trees could talk. Yeah,
that one would
definitely.
have a hell of a story, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I'll get
guys,
that looked up.
it looks like it's almost dinner time on my end, and I don't want to keep Darren up too long. I know he wants to watch Dancing with the Stars tonight, so we want to make sure.
I won't tell you what I actually really call it.
Oh
And
God,
it's not called Dancing with the Stars. It's called Dance. It's called Strictly Come Dancing. But I actually call it by another name.
fair
What I'm
enough.
not going to call it.
No, I appreciate that. It's not a show I would be watching. That's for sure. I
Thanks for that
not.
shout out, Tyler.
You're
Cheers.
welcome. I just figured that was on your agenda tonight. It was to
Yeah.
watch Dancing
No.
with the Stars.
My agenda is actually a new film that's come onto Netflix.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's got a Civil War sort of theme to it. I don't know what it's called though. The Harder
Oh,
They Fall or something like that.
what is it?
Have you heard of that?
No.
What what's it called? I keep seeing it popping up. I'm really interested. It's called The Harder They Fall. It's called.
The Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me look at that real quick before we go so we can talk
I don't
about
know
that.
whether it's just UK or whether
There it is.
it's a British actor in it. Main. I can't say his name. You know the guy that's in 4. You know, does the gatekeeper thing.
Lakeith Stanfield?
No, Ibis Elba or whatever his name is.
Idris Elba.
That's it. Yeah.
I see him. Yeah, he's right there. No kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
He was in a
This
he
looks
was in
really
The
good,
Wire.
man. And I've seen a clip of it, and he's in this train carriage, and there's loads of Civil War soldiers standing around, and he just starts blasting them all and shooting them all. It's really cool. Not that the fact that he's shooting
Oh, it
everyone,
looks
but
so good.
it's
Yeah,
really
I'm
good.
reading it. It's a so The Harder They Fall, which began streaming on Netflix. It's when did that start? 3rd of November. Is a new
Yeah.
kind of Western in some ways and a traditional Western in others, starring Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, and a few more folks. There's a list of people in there. It's one of the few movies in its genre to feature an all-black cast. Oh, cool.
There you
So yeah,
go.
that sounds like it would be very interesting to watch. So maybe you've given me a movie to pair after I do some reading today, because I know, like I said, oh, that's what I forgot to do. What are we reading right now, Darren? We have books we need to go
Right.
talk
Okay.
about.
I will
Shoot.
tell you because I am actually reading. It's called An Englishman in the Civil War. So, for those of you who don't know, I've got a real exciting podcast coming up at the end of the month. David Powell, who Tyler knows,
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
is coming to talk to me about the Chattanooga campaign.
That's gonna be a hell of a talk.
Right.
I
So
make sure you guys
Chattanooga,
follow so we
in
can.
my eyes, the biggest turning point in America is one of the main turning points in the Civil War is the Chattanooga battle. I believe, I think, Phil, especially the fact that it opens the Georgia up to, the invasion of Sherman.
So, are you
And
guys going to be discussing Chickamauga too, or are we just
we
strictly
no,
talking Chattanooga?
we're not gonna discuss Chickamauga. We're going to discuss Browns Ferry, Wahatchee, and then
Mm.
Chattanooga.
Okay,
So
so that's a
Lookout Mountain, obviously, and then the Battle of Missionary Ridge. So I'm reading a diary at the moment it's called An Englishman in the Civil War, and I picked this book up for next to nothing, off a military. So I've managed to find a book dealer in the UK. I met him at a reenactment event, and yeah, he's on my favourite list now of buying books. Yeah, so I bought this book. It was, it's a right old rough state, but it was next to nothing, and it's a very good read. There's a guy called Yates Thompson, this
Yates
English guy.
Thompson. Interesting name.
I think it's his name. But yeah, I'm reading that at the moment. So, but
Awesome.
what happens is, so he travels to the United States for 6 months during 1863. Um, he travels around a bit. He goes to New York. He goes to Washington and all that sort of stuff, and Boston, I think it is.
Hmm.
Then he ends up traveling to Chattanooga, and he witnesses the whole battle. So he writes this in his diary. Now the guy doesn't die till 1928, and the nephew of this guy ends up obviously finding all of his notes and his diary, and he makes a book out of it. So yeah, it's quite interesting. It's actually got quite a bit, and it's actually got my juices flowing a little bit of how close, obviously, Britain and America actually came to actually warring against each other a couple of times. As we know, the lead up to Antietam and that, we nearly had it, but that was to
Oh
do with
yeah.
something else.
No,
But
that
there was
was
also an incident in Liverpool Harbour where um, a, a, a privateer was actually um, having two ships built for the Confederacy. Although they were not going to be armed, America kicked up a big stink over it and said to Britain, "You cannot, you send those. That's an act of war." So in the end, they end up getting absorbed into the Royal Navy. These two ships, because they don't send them in the end.
right.
There's a lot of pressure on the British government not to. I mean, they don't arm them. They got sent to the Azores, and then from the Azores they would have been armed and then sent to the Confederacy. So technically, but they're saying you're funding the Confederates. Basically, you're helping them out. Why are you doing that?
Right.
You
And
know.
then you just got asked a really good question. So Todd asked, Darren, in your opinion, what is the best book about Fremantle's observations at Gettysburg?
Um, I don't know actually because I've not actually delved into that yet. It's something that was on the agenda, but so excuse me, Todd. I do apologise, but Fremantle is definitely on my list of books to buy.
Mm.
Um, I know he's written a few things,
I think that would be a cool that would be a cool summer topic
but
for us to do.
Colonel Fremantle is quite an interesting character. And I mean, you see the guy on Gettysburg, the movie, but he's actually a real guy. And he did travel around the South, and he
Oh,
did
so he's
travel.
not like Buster Kilrain.
No, Buster Kilrain is definitely not real, guys. Sorry to burst your bubble,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I get a chuckle out of when I go to Gettysburg about
but
how many people
one of my
where
good
was Buster
reenacting,
Kilrain buried at? I'm like,
sorry, one of my
really?
good reenacting friends, I'm sure they went to some kind of cemetery or something in a local area where he's buried. I can't remember what they
Really?
did. They went to some kind of ceremony or something. I can't remember. I have to talk to her again
Yeah, if you could ever
about
find out the
Fremantle.
location of where Fremantle's buried and maybe go to his
Yeah,
grave and
I'm pretty sure it's Hampshire.
is that far from you?
No,
No.
excuse
Cool.
me.
So, are you reading anything else of note, or is that about
No,
on your
not
list right
really.
now?
I'm just really researching Chattanooga at the moment. Um, yeah, but I will say this: I went down to my local thrift bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
Oxfam bookstore, the other week, and I picked up a volume called "The Three Kingdoms at War,"
Ooh,
which is an English Civil War book, and it's one of the best ones you can buy out there. And I got it for £3.50. Now, this book in the shop is worth 20 quid. It's a 700-page book.
so that's good. Is that how much is that in American money? About
So
thereabouts.
£3 is probably about $5.
$5. That's not bad at all. Shoot.
So I'm really
So,
happy about that. But yeah, I haven't got onto that yet. But next is Fredericksburg for me, obviously,
Now
which
I'm
would be.
pairing Fredericksburg with my main reads, but
Sorry, just before I
yeah.
finish. Sorry, I did go on a bit.
No,
Um,
you're good. You're good. My bad.
my next book is a book that obviously Tyler recommended to me, and that is Frank O'Reilly's Fredericksburg campaign.
Good man.
That is my next book, and then after that, I'm going to move on to finish the Forgotten Front because I've read quite a bit of it.
Are
I've
you gonna try
sort
to
of
finish those before your trip out here,
yes,
or yeah?
yes, and
Cool.
then I also bought two Mikowski books on the Battle of Chancellorsville and the Wilderness, which I'll bring with me. They're like little guides in a way, aren't they?
They are.
They're before emerging Civil War. There is early things, but they're
The Eastern
practically the
National
same
ones,
things. Yeah.
They're awesome. And they're great resources to have on battlefields at home. They're fantastic. I love what they do with their series. And in fact, I read a ECW book written by Greg Mertz before I started tackling Tim Smith's book here on Shiloh.
Read that one.
You read the Attack of Daylight and Whip Them?
Yep.
So this is the main book I'm working on at the moment. I'm just about done with Shiloh, and it is a phenomenal read. If you haven't read anything about Shiloh, or if you want to know more and you want to get into some of the nitty gritty of Shiloh, Tim Smith is definitely your guy. And he's also, I'm anticipating him for the next series, or I wouldn't say series, but the next few books I'm reading alongside my normal Fredricksburg stuff. Now, I've read most of the Fredricksburg books I own already, more than once. So I have some, understanding. I really flip through them for a resource now, but sometimes I'll go back and give it a full reread. But recently, a few books have hit my radar under Tim Smith since I really liked his Shiloh stuff. So Champion Hill is next up. I know it's reflective, but this is a Savage Beatty publication, which is awesome. I opened the page when I ordered this the other day and didn't realize that he signed it. So I got a signature from Tim Smith. Yeah, it was a good price.
Actually, going back to your, you also bought those volumes you was telling me about. Tell us about those.
So the going on to
because
we have
they were doing the social media rounds on during the week because Savage Beatty have just posted them all out. Yeah.
So before I get to those, real quick, I also have the next Vicksburg stuff from Tim Smith that I'm working on. And this is a sizable book. I mean, this itself is also sizable.
You could kill someone with that.
You could wait till you see the Vicksburg trilogy next coming up.
You could kill a visitor.
You could, why you ask dumb question and just hit the Union assaults at Vicksburg. Grant attacks Pemberton May 17th through the 22nd, directly following up from the Champion Hill book I'm reading. So I think it'll work in a good order that way. Hopefully, I've got a good strategy here. And then the Siege of Vicksburg, climax of the campaign to open the Mississippi River May 23rd through July 4th, our birthday. Both America and Unfiltered.
Happy birthday.
All right. And then
I'll tell you what, when you start delving into the Vicksburg, I'm going to do the same thing and we're going to have some real good conversations about it.
I can't wait.
These are heavy. Just before you get on to that, I just want to point out, this is one of Grant's best moves ever because he completely, before Champion Hill and everything, they go off the map for 2 weeks. Nobody even knows where they've gone.
No.
They just vanish. And Halleck and that will go, where is he? They've gone missing. It's one of the best military things that have ever happened. There you go.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Hey, he did say that I have this wonderful trilogy.
God, look at the size of that one.
And this is just volume 1, guys. This is just volume 1. This series, again, if you missed the earlier part of this, Ed Bars, the late Ed Bars, rest in peace. Unfortunately passed away last year. Was a mentor of mine when I was at the park. In fact, I even was a recipient of the Edwin Kobar's Intern Award, and that, not flaunting that, it means so much to me to be able to have that honor. And when Ted Savas announced that these were coming out, he announced that Ed had signed book plates, and it's sometimes I get a little emotional about it because I do. I've got one more copy from Ed right there. One more signature. I have a few signatures of Ed on, you know what I just realized? I do have a really cool signature by Ed, and that's the Vicksburg Gettysburg. I forgot I had a Vicksburg book by Ed, where he actually personalized it for me sitting in front of him.
I'm not surprised. You've got bloody more books than the library.
I do. I don't know what's
I'm surprised you can get in the front door. I'm surprised you can get out of the front door.
We're getting to the point where I can't get out of my back door.
Shovel the books out the way to get out the door.
I need to do one of those forts where you stack the books all the way up and
just do something.
Yeah,
like
that's what
Ghostbusters. Yeah,
a couple of Ghostbusters. A feature I love about these is the back covers. We got pictures of Ed throughout his life. Okay. Isn't that, to me, that's amazing to have that.
Mistake me if I'm wrong, but Ed appears in the Ken Burns series, doesn't he?
He does. His voice is distinctive. You'll know when you hear Ed Barnes talking.
He comes across as a very big character.
Some more photos of Ed throughout his life. This is volume 2. Again, no shortage of information in this at all. They come with illustrated maps by Hal Jesperson, which are added to these volumes, which is awesome to have these colored maps in here. So there's volume 2 that's going to be on the list of reading, and then we have Big and Bad volume 3, which has Ed in 2020. That was Ed in the last year of his life there. I have some great stories of meeting Ed, and some funny stories of meeting Ed too. The second time I ever met him, he was actually on a tour with Robert Lee Hodge. So if anyone's ever read Confederates in the Attic, you see that Confederate in the front page. That's Robert Lee Hodge, and you probably, again, you read the book, you know a little bit about him. So having that interaction at Fredricksburg, I'm not going to repeat the comment that Ed made because it is very vulgar, but that was Ed. I'm sure many of you that know him know how he spoke, and he was alluding to a horse and rain, and let you use your imagination from there. A male horse, actually. But it was alluding to his Montana.
Well, hey,
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, Ed, that was a little spicy. But it just a great guy, a very knowledgeable man, a war hero too. He was wounded in Suicide Creek, and it left him bedridden for a while. So while he was bedridden, this is where the Civil War really comes into Ed's life, because he doesn't have much he can do. So he's reading these Civil War books and devouring these books. And then, years later, you've got a trilogy like Vicksburg, which is just incredible. I mean, to have this wealth of information and knowledge. And again, I don't know anything about Vicksburg as of right now, I other than we won July 4th. Awesome. And that it's Grant's instrumental move into warfare. And this is one of the things that defines who Ulysses S. Grant is as a commander, and that rat Halleck can deal with Grant being the successful. Maybe as Grant has been successful, but Halleck's sort of that overshadowing, and it allows Grant to then later go overshadow Meade in 1864 and 65. But Ed is, again, just a great author, great speaker, great human being.
But again, all of that stuff leads to that moment where Grant gets to that point and says, "No, guys, we're going south."
That's right. Now, Kojak,
the biggest turning point in the whole Civil War, that is.
Yeah, Kojak recommends Surgeon in Blue, which I believe is that it's not about Holt, is it? About Daniel Holt? I could be wrong, but I feel like I may know who that is. And Kojak also says that Ed was an amazing person. Indeed, he was. He was very friendly too, and he, like I said, a very funny guy. There's this meme that keeps circulating the internet about the mispronunciation of cavalry. People saying Calvary, which I understand why that would irk somebody. Like I get pissed off. I'm like, oh yeah, Union Cavalry. I'm like,
so why would you say Calvary?
Calvary is a biblical reference, first of all, right? Cavalry, get Calvary, go. Yeah. Todd also says that Ed was one of the best. Now, gentlemen, ask you guys, are y'all reading anything in the Civil War field or anything historically? Share what you guys are reading. I want to know. I need some more recommendations to build my book.
We told you, it's time to tell us.
Show and tell, right? But yeah, Ed is quoted in this meme holding a kitten by a paw. Ed, he says, if you anytime someone mispronounces the word Calvary, Ed beats a little kitten to death. Apple autocorrect goes to Calvary. Let me see if I can't pull that Ed picture up before we go as our departation today, because I think it would be a great.
Anyway, while you're doing that, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. I enjoy engaging with all you guys. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. There's plenty on there now. Also, give the Unfiltered Historian page a like and a follow if you haven't already. American Civil War and UK history, of course. Give us a follow and give us a like.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you all for engaging.
It has been really a pleasure to have this outreach in the community, and just have you guys continuing to tune in and to talk to us and share with us anything. And it's just, like I said, to me it is wonderful to have you guys, and you're making my dream come true for sure with this. And the guys that are alongside me in this organization have really helped
And
to
if
make
Joe
this what it
Biden
is.
doesn't open the border on Monday, I'm going to personally go and find that guy and kick him up the backside.
You really want to come over here, man?
Well,
I
I
want you
do.
to also.
And the thing is, at the moment, he's in Scotland, so I can go and
He
find
was.
him.
He's back home now, I think.
Oh, is he back home now? Is he?
Yeah, he's
They were
back
doing
home.
that that conference thing.
Yeah, I'm still trying to grab it. I promise. It's. I last I saw it was the Battle of Gettysburg discussion group for overly sensitive people. I think that's where I saw it at one point. Let me go to recent media. I ask you to bear with me just because it's such a great meme. I love it and never want to see it go away. There was also they posted recently a picture of Union soldiers taking, or I think Confederate soldiers taking a dump in a latrine, and I don't know why I found that extremely funny, but it was.
When you got to go, you got to
You
go.
gotta go. That's right. But I was just like, why am I laughing at this? Am I losing my maturity? Something going on? I don't know
Did
why
you
I'm
ever have
thinking.
any maturity?
No, that might be it right there. Well, I'd scroll past a picture of Michael Jackson dancing in front of a cannon. That's why I like this page.
Ow!
Yeah, right. Get shot with canister and scream. All right, we're going to talk before we go again. I guess we're going to stay on for a few seconds because now I want to talk about comedy in the Civil War because I'm finding so many good memes right now that I can't just stop talking about this. I have a picture of, oh my gosh, a relic found at Devil's Den. It's a car smashed by a rock. Oof. All right, let me go to their photos and see if I can't find it. There's a picture of Hazlitt's battery. It's a picture of Hazlitt with a car battery attached to him. That I kind of laughed at that more so than I should have, probably a little out loud. And I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures I've posted of the smiling generals. I don't know if anyone has seen that recently. I've seen a lot of other pages, years after I started doing that, start doing it as well. So where's my props for that? I started the smiling generals years ago. I'm just kidding. I don't care. I'm glad people are finding that funny as well. It's a not a disrespect to any of the soldiers or anything to the generals. It's just sometimes this studying of Civil War is, I don't want to say desensitizing, but we got to remember that these men are men. These are family men. These are fathers, brothers, sons, and I think when we study this a lot and we get into the gory details about the battles and all that, we sometimes forget that. And also it gets depressing sometimes reading about death and destruction like this on a mass scale level. So some comedic relief in ways that are not glorifying someone's demise, it's funny. Okay. And I think it's needed to just keep a lighthearted mood when it comes to studying this stuff, because you really do need to be able to tune into that. And I promise you guys, I'm still trying to find the picture. It's here somewhere, and I am not leaving today until it is shown. And we have honored Ed today with his kitten beating post because it's fantastic. He's even got a mean beating stick in his hand too that he's ready to just like lay it into this cat for saying cavalry. Ed B-E-A-R. I know it'll pop up on. It's got to be here on Google Images. That's the only other place I can think it would be. I can't believe I can't find it. I mean, type in Ed Barr's meme. Maybe that'll show up. No. Is it like gone off the internet?
Maybe they've taken it down. Yeah, they're a bit sensitive about stuff like that now.
No, I mean it's circulated a lot through places, and I just don't know if it's that I'm missing it somewhere, if I've already skipped past it, or if I just don't have access to it anymore. But I really want to share. Wait a minute. I bet you I have it saved in my files. If I have it saved this whole time, I'm over here searching for it.
You probably have got it saved. That's normally what happens.
It normally is, yeah. Let me look real quick. Because I do want to also add this meme that I found here. There you go, Darren. The Gettysburg tweet. Found that hilarious. All
I
right,
love
pictures.
that.
Let's see. Do some
That's what it would be
scrolling.
like today, definitely, guys.
Oh, 100%.
We'd be taking selfies just before we load our rifles.
For some reason, I do feel like I'm going to stumble on it, and I'm going to be very happy that I did. Come on, Ed. Where's your meme at? I need it in my life right now. Oof, I don't know if I even have it saved. I might have to search for it, and when I find it,
Put
I'll
it onto
share
the
it on
page. Yeah.
the Unfiltered Historian page, and you guys will hopefully get a notification that has been posted. And it's definitely worth the chuckle if you can find it. If anyone else can find it and send it to me or has access to it, let me know, because I would love to share that around again and get that started. It resurfaces like once or twice a year.
Oh, actually, one thing before I go. Remember,
Sure,
guys,
what's
it's
up?
Remembrance. It's the lead up to Remembrance Week.
It is
You got a Remembrance Sunday next weekend, but also
Veterans
on
Day
the
this week for
Veterans
the
Day
United
on the
States. Yeah,
11th, Remembrance Day, the 11th of the 11th, the 11th hour, 11th day of the 11th hour of the 11th minute, when
that's right.
that treaty was signed in that train carriage just outside of Paris.
Very
And of
historic day.
course, where Adolf Hitler decides to get the French government to re-sign a document handing over France when they surrender. Same train carriage, but a very
Hardy, you
important
found it?
day.
Can you message me that really quickly, please? I could not find it to save my life. I don't know if you are have the Unfiltered on Facebook or not, or some way to send it, but send that real quick so I can put that on the live page, and then I'll send it to the Unfiltered Facebook page and give you credits for it. Because I know you, I don't know how else you would send it, but yeah, I'll wait real quick to send it because thank you so much, Hardy. You're awesome for that. Whew, somebody had to find it. Message on Facebook. Perfect. Let me get to Unfiltered. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There it is. Thank you so much. I love this. All right. Here we go. Thank you guys. Hardy is the one that found this for us. So if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been
Thank you
able to
very
have
much,
this live.
Hardy.
Yes, sir. Here you go, guys. That poor kitten, dude. It's not gonna make it because everybody keeps saying Calvary. Oh well, I know it's a stupid joke. I love it. I don't care if it's stupid. It's gonna stay. I'm keeping that on the Unfiltered stream here, so that we can continue to have this public for y'all. Um, Otherwise, guys, it has been a wonderful stream. I cannot thank you all enough for the engagements that you all continue to contribute to the Unfiltered Historian. So it's wonderful. If you find yourself in Fredericksburg on the 13th of December, by the way, feel free
Come
to let
join
us
us.
know
Yeah.
because we would love to have you join us
Yeah.
in
And
person.
again, on the 17th, we'll be having a drink in Rebellion Bourbon
That's right.
Bar from 7 p.m. on that night. Come along and have a beer with us. Tyler
Very
said he's
nice.
buying them all.
I said that. Damn, I must have had a few beers or something when I
I'm
said
only
that because
joking.
I don't
No,
remember
but
saying
anyway,
that.
guys, honestly, seriously, come and find us. We're having a beer,
Yeah, it's gonna be a great
and
too.
we're gonna get messed up. No, we're only joking.
I don't know. I know I'm just gonna have a good time being able to finally see Darren in person, and the
Yeah.
folks that get to join us for our Battlefields and Brews conversations that we'll have over some drinks will be nice.
And we're going to be drinking somewhere that was looted during the battle.
That's right. That area around Fredericksburg, we have so many sites that were just completely looted, sacked, destroyed because of the battle.
Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Teachers cannot afford buying. Thank you, Kojak. You saved my butt there.
There you
No,
go.
we can't. Severely underpaid. But
It's always a Friday night. He's allowed to drink.
I am. I don't have school the next day. And Saturday is recovery for me. I gotta.
That's what you think.
All the Civil War knowledge. That's what I think. All the Civil War knowledge and everything in my head. I'm gonna need it one day to whew. But that's not gonna happen because I'm gonna get the urge to go to a battlefield.
I'm gonna be like a kid on Christmas morning when I wake up the first morning.
It's gonna be December 13th.
I want to go to the
early.
battlefield. I want to go to the battlefield. Be knocking on your door at 7 o'clock.
Tyler, get up! Come on, we're going.
Tyler, you awake? I want to go on the battlefield.
I'll be awake. It's one of those nights I don't think I'm gonna sleep because I'm just so excited to be able to bring this stuff out. It's so exciting, so exciting. Well, guys, yet again, unfiltered historian. He might hold on. Let's see.
American Civil War, UK history.
Must set the example for my students. He's not wrong. That's why I don't go and get belligerent. No, that doesn't happen. But it's okay. Like I said, it's nice to have a couple drinks with you guys and just have a social setting, nice dinner, all that fun stuff. It's coming up in less than a month, guys. We're almost there. There's so much to do in so little time. But that's why we make all these random videos and set aside all this time for you guys. So without any further ado, thank you for watching and engaging. Thank you for joining the Unfiltered Historian. If you like what you see and you're out following, like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitch. You find us all over there. Same with the American Civil War and UK history.
Yep, so
if you don't like, subscribe,
YouTube,
and follow.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. See you soon.
Absolutely, guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.